That's just sports, baby.
Crowd goes wild, strawberry ice bringing fire and style. Reds, Bengals, Bearcats, all in my zone. This is my stage, my mic, my throne. Boom, like a hammer, I'm breaking the game. Strawberry ice, you're gonna know my name. Sports Talk Thunder, hear the podcast roar. Cincy Fine is kicking down the door. Step into the lane where the passion ignites. Talking sports all day and all night. From the field to the court to the roaring stands. Strawberry ice with the world in my hands. Boom, like a hammer, I'm breaking the game. Strawberry ice, you're gonna know my name. Sports Talk Thunder, hear the podcast roar. Cincy Fine is kicking down the door.
Hey guys, what's going on? Welcome to the show. This is Sports with Strawberry Ice. I'm your host, Iceman Jeff Trenopole, and as always, I bring you sports from a West Side point of view right here in the great city of Cincinnati, Ohio. And as always, I'm coming to you live from the Ice Cave.
All right, shout out to my sponsors. They are Priority Lawn and Landscaping for all your lawn and landscaping needs. You need your grass cut, you need your shrubbery trimmed, I don't know, you need a paper patio, you need anything. I mean anything. Landscaping required. Think Priority Lawn and Landscaping. Also, shout out to T Properties, quality housing for quality people. Check out the website at www.tpropertiesllc.com for all your rental property management needs and your rental needs. And of course, Meyer Window, Door, and more. I got it in my house. I highly recommend you get them in yours. They're energy efficient, great looking windows, easy to clean. Meyer Window, Door, and more. The website is MeyerCincinnati.com. And also, shout out to my favorite brewery, Moorline Lager House. Get on down there, get you some delicious Moorline beer, some delicious Moorline food. And tell them I sent you. Moorline Lager House.
Do you believe? I know I do. Come on down and join me this Sunday at the Moorline Lager House for a Bengals watch party. We got $5 draft, $5 well drinks, $5 shot of the day. I'll be doing Bengals trivia, giving away prizes. It's going to be a lot of fun. We even got bigger TVs now. So come on down, support the Bengals. Go hang out with some Bengals friends. It's going to be a great time. Show up at noon. I'm DJing. It'll be fun. See you there. Moorline Lager House. Let's go.
Yeah, guys, it's going to be an absolute blast. I hope we see you down there tomorrow in Lager House. We had a great time this past Sunday for the tailgate, so I'm down there each and every game day that the Bengals play. Road games, it's a watch party. Home games, it's a tailgate. Now, we have the challenge of this week, and the challenge is, do you believe? Now, as I just got done watching James Rapine's video on there, which you guys can go watch it after you watch mine. The doctor that he had on there is kind of saying the same thing. Burrow's probably out 3 months, and there is a chance that he could come back. We'll see what happens, but everything's got to go perfect. Rehab's got to go great. Surgery's got to go great. And also the Bengals have got to still be in the playoff hunt. If they're not, I don't see them bringing back Joe Burrow. But I believe in Jake Browning. I think he can keep us afloat, win some games. Like I said, we are 2-0. I do think there's a very good chance that the Bengals can go into Minnesota and become 3-0. I'm not a big believer in Carson Wentz. Carson Wentz has not been a quality starter in about 6 or 7 years. Jake Browning has proven it. 2 years ago, he was a pretty good starter. I think Jake's got his best opportunity to prove that he can be an NFL starter. By the way, you can check it out on my Substack. I just wrote an article about it. Check it out there. I greatly appreciate it. With that being said, we're doing the Orange and Black Insider Podcast back-to-back days. Yesterday, we had the Godfather, Anthony Cosenza. And today, we got the Brain, John, the Brain, Sheeran. What's up, John? How you doing?
I'm good, man. It feels like I feel like I'm on this show pretty frequently, but I'm always impressed that every time I come back on, there's something different about what you're doing. And like I think like the non-live ad reads, like the whole like the short the promotion for More on Logger House, which everyone obviously should go down and check out your watch party and everything like that. So it's all new. You're keeping it fresh, which I definitely appreciate.
Oh, good. I appreciate that. And some people appreciate the song I made, but some people don't. He said, votes of John Rob says that song. I'm not all in on that. People don't like my Jake Browning song. It's more of a just, I don't know. I made it on AI. It's just, we've been here before. I mean, I hate this that we've been there before and we've seen what Jake can do. So that's where I'm like, I'm not by any means saying he can replace Joe Burrow, but it might not be that bad. I mean, am I crazy?
We need to have a little history lesson maybe about 2023 because I think people look at the numbers blank and they're like, okay, yeah, this is doable. I'm not saying it's not. I'm
Right.
saying that the full scale of what 2023 was. Jake Browning comes in, he looks terrible against the Steelers. Clearly, the offense needed some tweaks. And then he reels off 3 consecutive, really productive games. Bengals win close in a couple of them. They, beat the pants off the Colts at home, which is nice to see, right?
Yep.
But it keeps them in the playoff race, right?
Mm-hmm.
3 weeks goes by. Teams now know who Jake Browning is. He lays an egg against the Steelers and the Chiefs, and they're out of the playoffs at that point. That's my whole question right now with Jake Browning. It's been 2 years since then, right? They've learned some things about what he does well. Obviously, I was really impressed with the fact that he comes in immediately in the game and there are already adjustments made about what they need to do with him under center, right? And the offense is fine. Like he's taking chances down the field. I think it's always been something that's been a little bit different between him and Burrow. He's just a little bit more of a gunslinger in that regard, which is where you get the interceptions, but it's also where you get maybe more shots taking and one-on-one down the field. And you give T. Higgins and Jamar Chase and guys like that maybe more chances than what Burrow's accustomed to doing at this point of the season, right? It's just about how long can that sustain itself? Are you going to get, if you have Jake Browning for 12 weeks, how many of those 12 games are going to be quality? Like, is the number going to be more than 6? If it's the number is more than 6, then there's a good chance that this does work out. But seeing it as to how it all kind of fell apart the last time he was in the situation after 3 weeks when teams got accustomed to him, there's skepticism there for me.
Yeah, and that's totally understandable. I mean, the other thing is has Jake improved upon what he did in 2020? Has he himself gotten any better? Which we won't really know that answer till hopefully, sometime Sunday. But I don't think, and I'm by no means saying that any of these games are easy. Like I said, my prediction is 27-23. I think that we're going to win by a field goal. And that's the way, if we win all these games, I don't think there's going to be a blowout in any of them because they're all tough games. Like I said, because let me go through the schedule here again. You got Minnesota and then Denver. And I flipped it. At first, I said I think we're losing Minnesota and winning Denver. Now I'm kind of like, we could win both. We could lose both. I mean, Denver just got the doors blown off them by the Colts. So that gives me hope that there's a chance we could do it there. But like you said, it depends on what kind of Jake Browning we have. And to your point, which is what I've kind of said too, is we don't have the learning curve that we had last time. They already know what he can do. And I think we saw that on Sunday. So they already know what Jake can do in this office and what he can't, including Pitch, because Pitch was the quarterback coach when Jake was up there too. So you got so it's 3 tough ones: Minnesota, Denver, and then Detroit. And then Green Bay. They're all tough. None of these are going to be easy games to win. I not give us a shot at Green Bay. I'll just put that out there. Green Bay looks really, really good. And maybe I'm wrong. Hopefully I'm wrong. But I think we have a shot in these 3. But like you said, it just depends on what Jake does and what this offense does. But I do think, well, I don't know if I think this, but people have this opinion out there that this offensive line seems to play more consistent with Jake back there because I guess he goes under center more. He gets rid of the ball faster. Do you think the offensive line play ticked up a little bit more with Jake coming in because it seemed like it did get a little more cohesive with Jake in there?
So in 2023, you also saw an uptick in production, at least from like looking at it from like an analytical perspective, and that was because the Bengals were utilizing a lot more play action, a lot more screens, a lot quicker dropbacks. So like true pass sets is defined by PFF as like 2.5 seconds of 4 or more pass rushers up against you, no play action, just a straight dropback scenario. The Bengals are typically one of the top teams in terms of frequency of true pass sets when Burrow was out there and when Jake Browning was out there. When the offense started to adjust a little bit, you saw a major decrease in that, and therefore it made the offensive line's job a lot easier in those like handful of weeks when he was playing well. And that I also kind of expect to be the case this time. You already saw kind of how there's a lot more simplistic plays when Browning was out there initially, and the offensive line had an easier job adjusting with that. I think in general, though, like even still, like even if there's not a lot of schematic changes with it, I think defenses just treat Browning differently. They're a lot more aggressive in terms of like forcing him to beat him. And sometimes that leads to blitzes. Sometimes it leads to just Browning just having to get the ball out quicker, which means the offensive line doesn't have to block as long. There's a difference in which the defense approaches Jake Browning and Joe Burrow at the end of the day. And therefore,
Absolutely.
the difference in how the offensive line adjusts to that as well. So I wouldn't say the offensive line plays better when Jake Browning is out there. There's just a lot of different factors that cause their production to look different. And therefore, and in some instances, the offense can find more success because the defense is having to adjust on the fly, especially in a game when Burrow comes out and then Browning comes in and the defense has to make those adjustments without any sort of preparation, right? So I wouldn't say the offensive line plays better. I would say that there are situations in which they're put in more favorable situations and therefore the production looks better.
And the other that makes sense what you're saying there, because it does. And everything changes from quarterback to quarterback. I mean, it's just the way it is. The other thing to me that this offense is really going to have to do, and you got the numbers probably in front of you, the running game. That's to me has got to be a big thing for this. They have. I know personally, I thought the running game would be a little better the first few games than it has been. I thought Chase Brown would have a little more a bigger average than he has right now. And I also thought Taj Brooks might get some more playing time as well. Do you think that's another issue that they change in this is to running the ball more consistently and not rely, because you can't rely on Joe Burrow. He's not there. So you have Jake Browning there and you not necessarily, you don't trust him as much as you do Joe, but he's not Joe. He's not Joe Burrow. So you have to find other avenues. Do you think the running game gets more emphasized moving forward?
It needs to. And the problem with that is theoretically it should be easier to stop the Bengals run game when you're forcing Jake Browning to kind of beat you. You're probably going to stack the box a little bit more and force him to drop back and pass at the same frequency as Joe Burrow, right? But of course, it's still the biggest issue, I think, with this offense, regardless about who the quarterback is. You don't have a sustainable balance and you're forcing the quarterback to kind of do it all by himself and churn out easy yardage, in which the run game should provide you. I still have no idea what this offense, if this offense knows what they're doing in terms of formulating a run game. It just looks completely discombobulated with blocking schemes and just everyone like it. Yeah. It doesn't make any like the fact that they don't have a run game coordinator now, that was supposed to be a positive because there's going to be more opinions with this. It looks even worse. It doesn't look like anyone's on the same page. Obviously, the offensive line is not necessarily tailored in terms of the skill sets that they have along those 5 blockers. Like, none of them are primarily run blockers. They're all there just to be stout pass protectors. Mm-hmm. And that's just the reality that they build with because they know that they needed to protect Joe, which is ironic now because of what happened. But like they don't have people movers really. Like they have humongous tackles, but neither one of them are necessarily great run blockers, and that's not the case with your guards either. I think again, Dylan Fairchild can eventually become that, but he's still a rookie. Ted Karras just isn't that at 32 years old, and Dalton Riser's never been that at 30 years old. So you don't have an interior offensive line that can consistently generate movement at the point of attack, and it leads to trouble with Chase Brown, and it leads to trouble with whoever is your running back, right? So there has to be an evolution in which they look at this run game and how they can better pair it with their pass game. And I think you can do that a little bit easier because Jake Brown, I think, has a little bit more comfortability being truly under center, as with Joe Burrow. That's not really his strong suit. So maybe you can figure out some plays under those sorts of personnel groupings in which they can be a little bit better. But I still think that even when Burrow comes back, like there just needs to be a complete re-emphasis about what they're doing there and try to get on the same page and try to get on the same level as the majority of the NFL. No one has this big of an issue running the football as the Cincinnati Bengals. It's inexcusable at this point.
Yeah, and the reason I say I'm kind of surprised by it is because last year when Chase Brown took over, the running game was a factor. I mean, still not as big as I want it to be, but Chase Brown was effective in the running game. And I said this, I thought that he had a chance to break James Brooks' all-time yardage record from scrimmage. It's not off to a good enough start to do that right now. So that's where I come back to where I was kind of surprised of how lackluster the run game has been because of the way the season ended, which I know you can't take what happened for one season and put it to the other, but we all do it. We did this last year. Why wouldn't it happen again? So that's one thing for me that's been kind of surprising there. And hopefully they'll move forward with that because they're going to have to. You got to have some consistency in this offense because, again, other guys are going to have to step up. Not only Jake Browning, Jamar Chase, T. Higgins. No, if everybody's got to step up. And did you find it when Zach Taylor had his press conference on Monday or Tuesday? I can't remember what day it was. He seemed really, not that he wasn't going to be down in the doldrums and not confident, but he seemed more confident to me in the players in that room of what he's hearing from the players and stuff. And it could be coaches speaking. Maybe I'm just sipping the Kool-Aid, but I felt very confident in what Zach was saying and how like they had a plan. Like they've been there, they've done this. We know what to do. Did you notice that at all, or you think it was just all coaches speak?
I think that's a coach who's never been 2-0 before and is just kind of riding that. Like maybe a little bit, right? Yeah. Like I think no, I mean I like obviously losing your quarterback in week 3 of all weeks, right, is never ideal. Mm-hmm. And I think from an objective perspective, that definitely impacts what this season could and probably will likely be. But for a team that spent the last 8 months hearing nonstop about how they suck in the first 2 weeks, right? And how they can't find a way to win games that they should have, or just win ugly and just put up a W on the stat on the record sheet and look forward to the next week where you could play better. The fact that they were able to do that these past 2 weeks, like I think that is a lot to kind of, it's a feather in his cap 100%. And I think everything that they've been building this offseason, like, again, it doesn't look great right now because that's just the reality of the first couple weeks of the regular season, but putting together those wins and setting yourself up to where if adversity does happen, of course, it's the biggest piece of adversity possibly that you could possibly have. Like it does give you some cushion to get better and keep yourself in the playoff race, to keep yourself alive in the season. I think that's just what they kind of feel right now. Like all the pieces aside from obviously the quarterback are there. They haven't suffered any other necessarily major injuries just yet. Again, the quarterback is the most important piece, but I think that they still think that like everything is there to kind of keep this going. And I think there's also some confidence from the fact that they've seen what their backup quarterback has done in this spot before, and they can kind of work off that. And it's not brand new to them.
Right. And that's the thing too. I keep trying to emphasize the Bengals fans is we are 2-0. And we are in first place in our own division. So, I mean, those are two huge things that we would have loved to have had last year. I mean, if we had this last year, we would have made the playoffs. With that being said, that's where I go back to the confidence I have in Jake Browning keeping us afloat because we're playing with house money. We're 2-0. We haven't been 2-0, like I said, in Zach Taylor's history. Joe Burrow's never been 2-0. With that being said, that's where I'm like, I just keep going there. Too much talent on this team, but there's got to be changes. There's got to be guys that step up. Will it happen? I don't know, but that's where call me a homer, which I'm fine. I'm completely a homer, but that's where I think we have a shot at this. And if come December, if the Bengals are in this thing, Joe Burrow, if he can come back, he's going to come back. They're going to put a plate in his shoe or whatever he's got to do. Joe Burrow, if he thinks there's a shot that they can make the playoffs, he's going to come back. So that's where I'm like, this isn't now. If they get into the surgery, which I don't even know if they had a date for that yet. If they get into, which could happen, they could get into his toe and say it's worse than they thought, and he's definitely not coming back. For the whole season, that still could happen. But my point is, there's still hope in this. And unlike when we lost Joe before, he was gone for the whole year. So, and we're in a better position. So that's where I know I'm just kind of rambling on, but I'm trying to bring it home here somehow. That I think there is a chance for this to happen, and I'm not crazy. I'm not trying to talk myself into this too much, Jake or Jake, John. I'm doing J's around here. Am I trying to talk myself? Yeah, Jake, John, Jeff. Am I trying to talk myself into this too much, or am I speaking in somewhat reality here?
I think there's. Oh, first of all, Zach was speaking, I think, when we first started the show, and he said that he doesn't know yet the surgery date, that maybe Joe himself decided this morning, but that hasn't been communicated to him, so he didn't want to put his foot in his mouth or his big toe in his mouth, if you will. So,
Right.
yeah, we don't know that yet. First of all, like, I really don't know what the scenario looks like for him to come back, because I think if they are in the playoff race or if they're doing really well, like say that Jake Browning defies the odds and he looks really well out there, I don't know if you want to pull him just because Burrow is back. But obviously, if he doesn't do well and they're out of the playoff race, you definitely don't want to bring him back for meaningless games, right? So there's that weird medium in which like Browning is like not necessarily doing well, but they're winning despite him, and they could use a better quarterback there. And as so long as that he's ahead of schedule and he's doing fine, he's completely ready to go in those final handful of weeks, like that could be the scenario. But I think mentally it's like that seems more unlikely than likely, which is why like in my mind, like this is pretty much just Jake Browning's season. And I think the reason why there's optimism in that is because, again, the past couple of years have been this team looks like, dog poop the first couple of weeks, and then they've learned a lot about themselves. And they kind of figure it out as the season goes on, and then they start stringing together wins, and then they started looking like the best version of themselves. We haven't seen that necessarily with another quarterback aside from Joe Burrow, but that's been their formula for the past couple of years. The difference has been, like you said, if they had just rattled off at least one of these wins in the first 2 weeks, they would be in the playoffs through the past couple of years. But they haven't done that. Now that they have. And so I think you're still confident that with this coaching staff, typically they do their best work in the middle of the season instead of the offseason for whatever reason. And that's just what you're kind of leaning on. Like, you're not assuming necessarily that that's going to change. And I think especially they have to put in the extra homework because they have a whole another situation at quarterback now. So that's still, I think, something that you can kind of rely on. Like, the offense is naturally going to take some strides with some of the things that they need to do well. And you're just hoping that the defense, they don't always have to rely on just forcing a lot of these turnovers, because in general, like, it's still not a complete unit by any means. They still are lacking in a lot of areas, and you're just hoping that, again, they're going to start to find themselves a little bit more, and they're not just going to be completely turnover reliant. So I think the hope, like you said, is that they start figuring some other stuff out, and hopefully that the quarterback is just okay enough to just get by.
Yeah, that's their point right there. That's a good point there. Is that we don't really hit our stride till November. I mean, and that's when we usually this coaching staff gets them rolling. So we're already 2-0. You got that going. And I think the same thing with the defense. And I was talking to AC about this yesterday. This defense right now kind of reminds me a little bit of the 2021 defense. No, we don't have the interior pressure that we did then with Larry and BJ Hill. BJ Hill is playing better. I think he's playing really good this year, to be honest. But as far as the bend don't break, and the balls are bouncing our way, and they're actually making the plays on the ball. So, and you can call it luck, you can call it what. Sometimes you make your own luck. You're around the ball. And the tackling is starting to seem to get better. So, again, I go back to the point where we're here, we start ramping up. So hopefully everything else ramps up, and we keep this thing rolling. Now, one thing I want to roll this back to Joe, and I know everybody wants to blame the offensive line and the front office and yada, 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 and all this other stuff. And I'm not blaming Joe at all, but it's starting to remind me of Ken Griffey Jr. and Eric Davis. They were two great superstars, but they got so injury prone and so hurt all the time. And it's like when Joe gets something, like we had the wrist 2 years ago, it was a wrist injury that no other quarterback has ever had. This turf toe is not normal for a quarterback to get. You don't get one this bad normally, but Joe seems to get these. And I fought this a couple years ago, but are we getting to the point where Joe might be a little injury prone? I mean, I'm not, and some people say he might have to change the way he plays, but I don't think he can do that. I don't think he's wired that way. But do you think he's a little injury prone, or is there an adjustment he can make?
I don't know what adjustment he can necessarily make. Like, I think, to your point, both the toe and the wrist were substantially unfortunate relative to like what those plays were. Like, he just landed on his wrist wrong, and he just had 2,000 pounds land on him in the pocket for what looked just to be a regular run of the mill. Like, we say run of the mill, like I'm 180 pounds. Like, if I get sacked in the NFL pocket, I'm dead, right? But of course, when he does, like 99% of the time, he pops back up, right? At this point, though, like every time that he does get sacked, I think everyone kind of holds their breath a little bit. And I think it's impossible to have that reaction without saying like, yeah, like this happens more often for him than it does for others. But of course, you have to look at I mean, my favorite word in the world is relativity, right? He gets hit way more
Way too
often
much.
than
Way too much.
the average quarterback, right? And
But hold on,
very,
is that also?
Go-
I know the offensive line's bad, pass block is bad, but it's also Joe too. Joe takes hits he doesn't have to take too. So I think it's a combination of both too. Because I go back to week 1 where Myles Garrett obliterated him. He stood there and took that, and that that's a drives. He takes that hit, he pops up fine, and then he gets landed on his toe, and that could he's out for 3 months. That's the irritating part. But I mean, that's the thing is like. I know the offensive line is bad, and I get tired when people say, well, the Bengals have spent money on the offensive line. They have. They've tried. They have literally tried. It's not good enough at all, but they have tried. So that goes back to my point. It's kind of both, I think. The offensive line isn't protecting him as well as they should, and Joe takes too many hits.
yes, I think if you're right in the sense that like there isn't one singular answer as to why this is the case, and that's just life, right? Everything's a lot more nuanced than you would like it to be. I think that the offensive line that they have is not equipped to pass block 45 50 times a game. I think that's 100% true. I think in general their offensive line continues to lack good enough athletes. I think Mims was a good start. Matt Lee is a good piece if he ever does play, but Orlando Brown Jr. has never been a good athlete. Dalton Reisner, for as stable as he is, he's not a good athlete necessarily either. Ted Karras, again, he's just getting up there in age. That's never really been part of his game, right? So having below average athleticism along the offensive line, it leads to your offensive line losing quicker than average, right? You may have strength there if you're just dealing with bull rushes, but for quick twitch athletes like Myles Garrett, right? Like it's tough. So that offensive line combined with an offense that, again, leans more on the pass game than pretty much any other offense in the league. It's about putting him in fewer opportunities to get hit like that as possible, because I don't think you want him to necessarily change the way that he plays. You just need to make sure that he doesn't put himself in that position as often, which again goes back to the run game. You need a more reliable phase of that part of your offense, and that still needs to change.
Now, another thing that I've heard other people talk about is, do we need 5 guys out and receiving the whole time? I mean, should Zach leave more guys in to protect Joe if we're going to pass it this many times? Should he leave more guys back there to protect Joe because we keep seeing this happen?
Yeah, that's another thing you have to balance. I think there's still value in having that kind of be part of your playbook, especially because he's comfortable with it. And because in general, when you're in empty, the ball's getting out quick. And I think the play that he got sacked, like that was another play where he was supposed to get the ball out within like a second or two, and the route just wasn't open. And then combine that with protection failing in front of him, and you get the worst case scenario, right? So you still want a quick pass game as a part of your offense because it can be an extension of your own game. And naturally, the ball is not supposed to be in the pocket for more than just 2 seconds. So you still want that. But I do still think, though, that like in general, you're seeing other offenses just go under center more and try to marry play action with the run game and everything like that. And that's just not. It's just not there in Cincinnati yet for whatever reason, whether he's not comfortable with it, whether they don't want to push it on him. It needs to be pushed on him more, though, because that's just a general good strategy in terms of just how other teams are winning and gaining efficiency and explosive plays.
Yeah, and the other thing is, do you want to keep having season long or season ending injuries? Like this will help. You could hopefully fix this. Now, Trevor here says, I don't know who Dr. Jess Morris is, but he said there's no way he's coming back. There's so many doctors giving their opinions. Nobody's going to really know, like I said, until they actually get in there. And it depends from everything I've read, and you probably read more about it than I have. It depends on how bad the injury is, how the surgery goes, how the rehab goes. Because from what I understand, he gets the surgery, then he really can't do anything with it for about 6 weeks, I think, until he can actually really start rehabbing it. And so and then it depends on if they don't have a reset or resets on the rehab. So a lot of factors have got to go into it, but nobody said he's definitely out. Everybody's giving him a chance to come back in 3 months. Is there anything there that you want to add to that, John?
2 things: contract default language and injuries. I do not want to put my foot in my mouth with either one of them. Every injury is different for every player, and it really is just dependent on what his specific ligament that's torn in his toe, how it reacts and everything like that. So I'm not, it's
I'm not a doctor. I'm just saying that's what I've read. So I mean, take it for what it's worth. I mean, it's with any injury, everything's got to go perfect to come back. It's not. Yep. That's not rocket science. You don't have to be a doctor to figure that out. I like GC3 here. Wild card weekend, 16 weeks away. Positivity, baby. Let's go.
They're
All right,
undefeated. What's wrong with the bye? What's wrong with the first place?
there you go, John. That's what I'm talking about. I like this. All right, so let's talk a little bit. Have you heard any more about Shamar Stewart? I was looking through Twitter. Out did Zach say anything about Shamar Stewart?
I didn't hear him say anything today because again the presser was during the show, but he said he was like week to week, doubtful this week with an ankle sprain, which I think is significantly better than what it looked like, because it looked like potentially something with his knee and he couldn't really move on it. So probably not back this week, but maybe back next week or the week after that.
So what's your thoughts on the way this defense is played? And the chances of Myles Murphy actually stepping up, because if Stewart's not playing, Myles has got to step up. We got to get more consistent pressure on the quarterback and more consistent pressure up the middle somehow. What's your thoughts on what they've been doing and thoughts in general? Are they do you see them ramping? Can we just talk about how the defense ramps up and this team ramps up? Can this defense ramp up and get better?
It's tough to say. I think in both these games, they've been significantly better in the second half, which kind of tells you that Al Golden is tinkering with stuff and he's recognizing what's working, what isn't, which is definitely a positive from a coaching perspective. It's good that the secondary is, again, I think is more on the same page. They know where to be and they're reacting better, and that's leading to just these opportunistic plays being made. I still have major concerns with this pass rush, though, because if it's not, Trey Hendrickson is, fortunately for them, still Trey Hendrickson, right? He's one of the best pass rushers in the game. It's why this defense has made the majority of the best plays that they've made so far. Aside from him, where's this pass rush coming from? I still don't know. I don't have an answer for you, because I think, again, like BJ Hill is playing fine for who he is, but he's not a game wrecker at the position. You haven't really seen that yet from Chris Jenkins. TJ Slaton is a nose tackle. He may get in there every now and then, but that's not what you're relying on him either. So I think it's been really unfortunate that you haven't really seen that much of a spark from either Joseph Ossai or Myles Murphy. You need to see more of them now that Shamar Stewart's probably not going to play in this game. And even when Stewart was out there, you weren't relying on any consistent pressure from him either. So again, that was my biggest question with the offseason, and it's still my biggest question now. Like, where is this ancillary pass rush going to come from if teams can key in on Trey Hendrickson? The good news is I don't think Christian Darrisaw is going to play in this game for the Vikings, so that leads a really good matchup for Trey, but it's just basically the same story as last year. It's just putting it all on 91 to make sure that something happens.
Yeah, that's what this is. Again, I'll say the same thing I said about Jake. Jake's getting his biggest opportunity. Myles Murphy right now, this is the biggest opportunity he's going to get right now, because they're going to have to give him the snaps. He has to step up. Him and Joseph Ossai. Stewart's not there, so they've got to step up this week. What's your thoughts on? I cannot remember the guy's name. The one they picked up for the practice squad in the interior, and he played.
Like Pinnell.
Yes, thank you. I don't think he's more of a run stopper, right? Am I correct on that? So I thought I know he made a pretty good play the first week. What's your thoughts on his first 2 games?
Yeah, I mean, there's a reason why he's there. He's just he's played in 157 games in his career. I think he's the most experienced player on the entire roster, so he knows what he's doing. And that's a position where you can play like a lot longer than maybe some other positions, because you just got to make sure that you maintain some grown man playing strength and just hold the B gap, and that's exactly what he does. He either lines up at nose or at under tackle or 3 technique, if you will, and he just holds his ground, and that's been the case so far. He's just better at his job right now than McKinley Jackson, which is why McKinley Jackson is a healthy scratch for the time being. But yeah, I think he's an ideal 4th defensive tackle in your rotation, so he's fine. But again, you're not getting any sort of pass rushing boost from him either.
Now, I thought Cam Taylor-Britt had a better game Sunday than he did the first week. And I've said this, I'm expecting him to have a bounce back year. And I base it on the play that I've seen the majority of his career, which is good play, not what we saw last year. With that being said, what's your thoughts on Cam Taylor-Britt? Has he made that turn, you think, or is he still in the process of getting back to where he was?
Well, we're through 2 weeks, and one of them has been terrible, one of them has been great. So it's like, who are you going to get next week, right? That's just the whole story with him right now. And that's why I think week 1 was as disappointing as it was, because that was the whole off-season conversation with him. It's just him being more focused and being kind of recentered, and how the fact that he still needs to really firmly establish himself as a starter in this league, because that can be taken away at an instant, just like it was twice last year, right? So this past week was really big for him. Brian Thomas Jr. didn't have his best game, but I think in the opportunities in which Thomas could have had some more production, Cam made some plays to prevent that. So that was a positive sign for him. That was a really big matchup for him. Brian Thomas, despite how he played last week, is still one of the better receivers in the league. So I think that's a pretty good confidence booster for him.
I know when you're on here sometimes, I it's like springing some Bearcat conversation onto you. So are you ready to go talk some Bearcats?
I can talk a little Bearcats. When you win 70-0, like you can get a couple minutes out of me.
So that was okay. It was awesome, but it was one of the most boring games I've ever watched in my life. And I didn't know that you could negotiate at halftime to shorten the clock. I had no idea you could do that. That was one of the more dominating performances I've ever seen. Obviously, I can't remember the team we played. They have no business playing teams like us. I mean, they got blown out the week before. What is it? Does this mean anything, or just a blip in the road that that team was not our same level, or are the Bearcats? Are they? Because they played good in Nebraska. They played, I think, good the first 3 weeks. But I've also sipped this Kool-Aid before, and we needed one win last year to get a bowl game, and we couldn't do it. So, are they pulling me in again, John, just to crush me again, or what do you think?
Well, I said, I think after the first touchdown, like I need a 70 piece to feel something, because
you got it.
Like when it's Northwestern State, it's just a creative team on college football, right? They're not a Division I team, right? You're at home, and you have basically your entire roster healthy. You need to dominate like that. So it's like, they won 70-0, but like to me, 70-0 was barely above expectation. So it's like, like they showed up and they did what they need to do. This is still a coach that hasn't won, when trailing in the second half ever, right? So it doesn't do much for me until I see him do something he's never done before, I guess.
For me, he's got to make a bowl game this year, dude. He's got to. If it's, what is this? This is his third year or fourth year?
Third.
This is third. So if it's
feels like
year,
30th.
Yeah, no. Third year and still no bowl game. Dude, we got to make a change. I mean, and I don't know where they are on the contract. I know it's a big turning point there, but it's just it's so hard when you go from what we had with Luke, where we're going to college football playoffs and everything, and it just drops down to this far. But I'm happy with Bearcat fans. They're still showing up. That Nipper was full. I was pleasantly surprised. I mean, that the fan base hasn't given up on them yet. I
was more surprised because I was talking with someone like a couple hours before the game, and they said, look at Ticketmaster for the average price of a ticket. It was like $400. Like this isn't the Bengals. This is Nippert Stadium. You can walk in there just anywhere from campus. It's $400 to get in. So wow. I don't know if Ticketmaster was just bugging out, but I don't know if the demand was just high to see Northwestern State, if the entire campus was there to see him. But whatever the case may be, like I mean, like we're starving to get back to where we were a handful of years ago, and obviously Wisconsin's kind of reeling at the moment, and they're not particularly happy with Fix. So I'm really interested to see how both of these teams kind of go in this next year or so, and if we see potentially a reunion, because I think like I don't know.
I'm totally down for it. I would love to have a reunion. I know people are mad at Fick, but I will take you back in a heartbeat, in a freaking heartbeat if we can get him back. But like I said, I just go back to watching that game. I was like, I cannot believe how badly. I'm like, why did Northwestern State even take this game?
Like, I mean, they got paid, right? Like, that's the whole reason.
It's just money. It's crazy. It is just jaw dropping crazy of how that. I mean, I thought we were going to break. What do you have? Five touchdowns in the first quarter. I mean,
not like that.
That's just. I mean, what was Tony Pike's record? Did he have 7? Do you remember that?
I don't know if he got 7. Did he get 7?
It was 6 or 7 because I know he was close to it. Because I have to look that up. I don't remember. But that was just wow. Anyway, John, what do you got coming up on A to Z Sports and the Insider Orange Mike Insider podcast?
Well, I mean, this time is more important than ever, right? Yes, Joe Burrow is out, but the season is still very much alive, and it should be even more interesting now that there's a really captivating national story with it. So please keep tuning in to a2zsports.com/Cincinnati, A to Z Sports Cincinnati on YouTube, Instagram, TikTok, wherever you get your short form content. We're really killing the game there, just on the entire site wide with our other markets that we're doing some of the video work. And obviously, like you said at the top of the show, with The Godfather, with AC, with Anthony Cosenza on the Orange and Black Insider Bengals podcast, wherever you get your podcasts on the Believe Podcast Network. I've gotten better at those.
Hey, you guys do a lot better because the AC's just kind of like, I'm so bad at self-promotion. Like, he's like, I'm not as good as you at it. I'm like, I'm just a loudmouth and I just say stuff. So, Either John, hey, I appreciate it. Thanks for coming in early because I'm going to go watch Bengals now at Newport and Levy. So that's why.
There you go.
So I appreciate you joining. And we'll see, man. We'll see what happens here. It's going to be interesting with Jake. I do believe we got a shot, but it's going to be fun. I hope.
Gonna be fun. Hey, 2 more J's, right? Jeremy and Joe for Fox. Yeah, say hi to them. So
yeah, Jeremy and Joe. Jeremy, Joe, Jake, and Jeff. There you go. All
appreciate
right,
it, Jeff.
See you, brother. Take it easy. All right, guys. Hope you enjoyed that as much as I did. Go follow John, the Brain Sheeran on A to Z Sports. Just look at John Sheeran. He doesn't go by the Brain. That's what I call him. Actually, Crypt Keeper's the one who gave him that nickname. I don't want to steal that. Crypt Keeper gave him that nickname. I gave AC the Godfather. But yeah, but the question I just want to know from the chat here before we end this thing is, so my question is, do you, in your heart of hearts, believe that Jake Browning can keep this afloat until Joe Burrow comes back? If he comes back, which Trevor here says this guy on this podcast somewhere in Miami, which I've never heard of, says he's not going to, which he might not. I don't know. I'm not a doctor. I've heard other doctors on other podcasts say, yes, there's a chance. Like I said, depends on how the surgery is, how bad the toe is, how the rehab goes. It depends on a lot of stuff. There is a chance he can come back. Can Jake keep us in this? And John made a good point where he went on that 3-game winning streak, and then the last 2 games, the defense figured him out last year or 2 years ago, talking about Jake Browning, and we lost. So that's the thing is, has Jake gotten better? Which you would hope he would. This is 2 years later, a whole year of sitting behind Joe Burrow, watching him have one of the most historical seasons a quarterback has ever had last year. You would think that would trickle down to Jake and helping him improve the way he sees defenses, the way he throws the ball. And I mean, Jake's still going to have the effort ball. He's got too much of a gunslinger in it. He's going to do that. There are going to be interceptions that we are going to have to deal with. But Joe does it too. There's been times last year, hey, Jamar's down there somewhere. Joe throw some up sometimes. When you have Jamar and you have T, you're going to do that. Slow motion. There you go. I see you, Richard. I see you. Slow motion. I know who you are now when you do slow motion. And Jake, we trust. Exactly. And the thing is, it's fun. Twitter's finally calmed down, I think, about trading for a quarterback. If you want to trade for a backup, like I gave a 5th-round pick to get Jameis Winston, but if we lose Jake Browning, is Jameis Winston really going to help you come in and win? Like enough? Because our hope is that Jake Browning keeps us afloat. So when Joe gets back, we can go on a playoff run. That's the hope. And I know Joe Farsi says hope's not a thing. I like hope. I love hope. Hope is, I live my life through hope. I hope I have a great day today. I hope you guys have a great day. I mean, if you don't have hope, I don't know what the hell you have. Because it's a very depressing life to not have hope. It's a very depressing way to be a sports fan. You always have hope. You hope you win the Super Bowl. You hope to win the World Series. You hope your team does what they're supposed to do. That's what being a fan is. And that's where I always have a hard time when the quote-unquote realists, oh, Joe's gone for the year. Oh, okay, he might be. I don't know for sure, and I don't give a crap what doctor says anything on any of these YouTube channels, posts, whatever. They're not Joe's doctor. They're not the one operating on his toe. They're not the one doing the rehab. They're just looking at it with their expert analysis, yes. But I still don't know. So there is hope that Joe Burrow can come back. There is hope that Jake Browning can keep us afloat. We've done this before. They can do it again. Look at John made a good point. They figured out Jake before. That's where can Jake make the adjustments? It's like a batter. Playing baseball. You're a rookie. You're coming up like Ellie De La Cruz came up and smoking the ball 2 years ago. Then they made an adjustment, and he wasn't hitting so good. Then he made an adjustment again, and he started playing better. Can Jake make that adjustment quicker? Can the Bengals offense make that adjustment quicker to whatever the defense is figuring out? I think they can because of what they went through 2 years ago. I do. If you have a blueprint of what it takes, what Jake does well, and you have the talent that this team has, and they are known, and this is a fact, even when Jake Browning was a quarterback, to get better as the season goes along. We sucked the first 2 games every year. We've won both of them this year. Ugly, but we've won them. That's got to give you guys hope that this could happen. I'm not saying Super Bowl or anything. I'm just saying right now, we're taking it 1 week at a time. I have hope that we can go into Minnesota and win 27-24. I believe we can. I do. I think we can. I think Jake can get it done. Like I always say, I believe in Jake Browning. Now I don't need to play the whole song again, but you guys get the point of what I'm saying. That there is hope, there's reason to believe, and there's reason to keep watching the show and follow me. But thanks for watching. I'm live streaming on YouTube, Facebook, X, Twitch. You can follow me on all those, along with Instagram, Threads, and TikTok, and also on Substack. I did start writing articles, I don't know, probably a month or so ago. I don't do it all the time. I want to find something that I want to write about, and Jake Browning and my belief in what he can do is what I wanted to write about. So I wrote it. You guys go check it out, please. Please subscribe. It's easy to find Sports with Strawberry Ice on Substack. Also, please subscribe to the podcast. It's on YouTube, Apple, iTunes, Spotify, Google, Stitchway. Pretty much wherever you get your podcast. Please make sure you rate, like, and review. Listen to it. Leave a 5-star review and a comment so more Cincinnati fans can find my podcast.
All right, shout out to my sponsors. They are Party Lawn and Landscaping for all your lawn and landscaping needs. You need your grass cut, you need shrubbery trimmed, I don't know, you need a paper patio, you need anything. I mean anything. Landscaping required. Think Party Lawn and Landscaping. Also, shout out to T Properties, quality housing for quality people. Check out the website at www.tpropertiesllc.com for all your rental property management needs and your rental needs. And of course, Meyer Window, Door, and more. I got them in my house. I highly recommend you get them in yours. They're energy efficient, great looking windows, easy to clean. Meyer Window, Door, and more. The website is MeyerCincinnati.com. And also shout out to my favorite brewery, Moorline Lager House. Get on down there, get you some delicious Moorline beer, some delicious Moorline food. You tell them I sent you. Moorline Lager House.
Now, my boy Rashad Genty, making a great point here. If our O-line can establish the run and move people out the way, I think that'll help Jake tremendously. I completely agree with you. And that's where I go back to what Chase Brown did last year. If they can at least right now get back to how Chase was running the ball, Chase Brown that is, running the ball toward the middle and the end of last year, we have to at least get to that point. My cat is meowing, if you're wondering. Ember is over there. And the run game has to be bigger now than ever because of Jake Browning, because Jake is the quarterback. So this is what I say, like next man up mentality. And that's what I feel like this, honestly, in this situation, the Bengals are more equipped to handle this than any other NFL team around because they've been through it before. So we'll see what happens. You guys looking for a cool place to watch the game at this Sunday? Check this out.
Do you believe? I know I do. Come on down and join me this Sunday at the Moreland Lager House for a Bengals watch party. We got $5 draft, $5 well drinks, $5 shot of the day. I'll be doing Bengals trivia, giving away prizes. It's going to be a lot of fun. We even got bigger TVs now. So come on down, support the Bengals. Go hang out with some Bengals friends. It's going to be a great time. Show up at noon. I'm DJing. It'll be fun. See you there. Moreland Lager House. Let's go.
And just to let everybody know, John gave me credit for doing that video and the sponsorship video. Josh Isles is the one that puts them all together for me. So I don't take credit for something I didn't do. It's my voice on there, but he put all the videos together. So shout out to Josh if he's watching. He runs Who Dey Nation, which I should be live streaming on right now. We'll see what happens. Come down Sunday, Moreland Lager House. Like I said, I'll be DJing. I'll be down there the whole game. I start at noon, playing some music, getting you guys ready for the game. $5 drafts, $5 shots, $5 well drinks. They got bigger TVs down there. It's gonna be a great time. I will be playing music in between the commercials, so you don't have to listen to commercials. The sound will be on in the game, so you can hear it. It's a great time. Just come down and let's enjoy being Bengals fans and just root this team on, because just think, what if they do win? What if they do? To be 3-0. There's not many teams that are 3-0 right now. Well, none of them are 3-0. We haven't played 3 games yet. But after next weekend, there won't be that many teams that are 3-0. Hopefully the Bengals will be one. I think they will. We'll see. Other than that, remember one thing and one thing only. That is Who Dey for life. And always throw it up BWO. That's just sports, baby. See ya!
Another great show. You guys still here? The show's over. You can come back tomorrow. I'm out of here. See ya.